Aquapolis.
Yeah.
Now, this is really surprising to me because I didn't expect much out of the Aquapolis. But
Aquapolis?
I've been doing like nothing but farming maps the last few days.
I love it.
I am shocked how fun it is.
I love the Aquapolis.
It's so tense. Oh my god.
It's actually such a fun event, and it's like, yeah, that RNG element of, and also the sound effect that they use, like when you're opening the door, like it's like a third grade classroom when someone did something wrong. They're like, oh, you know, like I would love to replace my in-game sound effect of the like I would love to replace that with like, oh, you fucked up, you know, like that. I would love that. That would be amazing. But it does add to like that whole tense atmosphere, and it really is a surprising amount of fun.
I saw a guy post. It might have been like Happy or someone like that, but they posted a Twitter pic where they were going to floor 7 of it, and like, oh snap, my map, my drops.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh, and he made it to floor 7. Like, that's awesome. And I was like, thinking, like, I haven't gotten past like the 3rd one yet.
I haven't either. Yet.
The farthest I've been is the 5th room.
Oh my
I think
God,
4th room is the
Well,
farthest
apparently
one.
But overall, it's so much fun.
It is.
Someone in CP. Actually, because they were running with us yesterday, and had made it all the way to the 7th room by just picking the right door every single time.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a few people in the free company that's done that too.
It you know what? It doesn't seem likely, but it's 1 in 64. It's gonna happen.
But okay, I'm gonna throw this out there. Maybe people in the chat know the answer to this. There is a theory floating around. It's either the fact that the door just flat out trolls you, and when it like errors you out, and then you get through, you actually did pick the right door. Or there's also a theory that when you pick the wrong door and it closes and it starts going rah, rah, and then it gives you like the rainbow god thing.
Yeah,
that it's actually
Rainbow Jesus.
That
yeah.
it's actually re-rolling you. Like you have a slight chance that you picked the wrong door, but there's like a 1% chance that it could re-roll you and you get through.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's just a theory. I have no idea if that's true or if it's just flat out trolling.
Oh, come on.
I don't know.
Because actually there's 3 steps. There's like, it can just flat out open for you when you click it.
Right.
It can fall down and then open, or it can fall down again and error at you and then Rainbow Jesus.
Right.
So there's like 2 or 3 different steps. So it's either re-rolling you with like, there's a slight chance each time it closes that you can actually go through it, or that it's just flat out trolling you.
What's the best stuff that you guys have gotten out of it so far?
Kyle got the bunny rabbit like his first time in.
I saw that.
I got a birch log, I think. I've done it 3 times, and every single time I got kicked out. So I'm 0 for 3 on doors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Were you picking doors?
The second time I did.
It has to be the person whose map it is has to pick.
Well,
I mean, I pick the door and then he opens it.
Yeah,
Nico.
well, that's...
Come on.
There's this little thing called peer pressure, Nika. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
We have a lot of it.
When you have 7 people on one side of the room and the party leaders on the other side, okay, that's a pretty clear signal. We know, like...
That's not
It's a clear signal for a Nero to pick the one with one guy.
That's like you get the "you fucked up" chant after that. You know, that one's solely on you.
Yeah, but if you're the one who's right, oh, you get to rub it in everyone's face.
That's true. That is true.
It's interesting because it.
Aquapop Alabalapo Palace hype.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fee Fi Bonana.
Any group I've ever done is a your map, your drops, where it's like anything in the chest goes to the person with the map, but anything that just falls to you just falls to whoever.
Well,
I think the way
And then the person picking with the map picks the doors. Like that's just how it is.
I think the way that we did it was everyone greets the person whose map it is needs if they want. So
Well, yeah. I mean, everything in the chest goes to the map person if they want it.
yeah, right. So yeah, I think that this is a really, really, really good canary in the coal mine for Palace of the Dead. Yeah. I think that this is a really, really good indication that we're going to have some fun systems to play around with moving forward. So far what they've said about Diadem I'm very encouraged. Everything that we've seen with Aquapolis and, all the previews that we've gotten for Deep Dungeon, very promising. And I can't wait. A Deep Dungeon, I think, is going to be a really fascinating addition to this game.
This has my hype meter off the charts for Palace of the Dead, and if Palace of the Dead sucks, I'm just going to be heartbroken.
God, yeah, like that's me. Like
That's I can't be hurt again.
Yeah, I want Palace of the Dead Deep Dungeon to be good, but I've been hurt before. I can't trust as well as I can before Square Enix.
But I feel like with the way that they did it with Aquapolis, I feel like they can use those same mechanics, and then once they add in the like random debuffs and shit that we're gonna get, and like I feel like if that's any indication, like I think we're not gonna be disappointed.
I feel like Aquapolis was a bit of like testing the waters, so to speak, and it bodes very well overall.
And we kind of said the same thing about Diadem. We kind of thought maybe Diadem is more of a proof of concept for a different kind of system in
except we
14.
didn't have like, oh, this is what is coming next, you know what I mean? Like Aquapolis is
Aquapolis.
It seems like there are some very core concepts that Square Enix are testing out to see if they work in Final Fantasy 14 in an overall game balance aspect.
Right, this is their beta test for Palace.
That's what. Yeah,
right.
I think that there are some very important underpinnings that they're testing out with Aquapolis, and that's what they're monitoring for Deep Dungeon, because like we have to see whether or not, and this is actually going to take a couple of weeks to figure out. How is it going to be abused? Someone's going to try to figure out how to abuse the system. How can they possibly abuse it, and to what ends, and to what kind of damage will it do? So, if you're introducing RNG elements that are not just dynamic elements to a fight or making players react in a fight, but you're actually testing RNG elements in terms of loot distribution and raid progression, not raid progression, but dungeon progression. I think that those are important bare bones concepts that you have to test out first, and Aquapolis does all of those. And
that's so exciting if that's truly what this is. That's because what we've been hoping against hope, that the next expansion of this game will have different elements kind of like that. And if that's what they're trying to do, this is like, okay, let's test if we can have RNG elements in our dungeons, then great. Like if that's any kind of indication of what 4.0 will be like, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to 3.35 for sure.
We also got a caller who wants to call in about Aquapolis and Deep Dungeon. Kerrigan Shark.
Kerrigan, welcome to Limit Break Radio. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, guys. I was actually really tempted to call in last week, basically to predict that the Aquapolis would be DOA, mostly because of everything we had heard about it. And then seen in the, I think it was the live letter where Yoshi P was going through it, and just with the RNG, it was like, okay, so most people are only going to get maybe to the third floor. All the drops are going to suck. How long before everybody's just like, okay, this isn't really worth our time anymore?
Right.
But surprisingly, I ended up having a lot of fun doing it. I'm curious as to what the actual percentages are with the RNG. I mean, you guys all said that, like, oh, you've only gotten to the third or fourth floor. I got to the seventh. I'm the first time in there.
Wow. I mean,
lucky you.
and that's gonna. I mean, and that's gonna make an impression. I think right out of the gate, that's gonna make a strong impression of the entire system. So.
Yeah. Well, like I've actually already done it over like 20 something times. I spent way too much time doing it. I think it was on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of burnt out on it. I've been storing up maps. But yeah, doing it got me really, really hyped for Deep Dungeon. Like all of you have already said, but because it's that kind of realization, I think, that it's like, holy shit, is this the first like new piece of content in the game since 3.0 that's actually been good? Like, are we now on an upswing where like new ideas coming from the devs is actually going to be good.
And we're going to get to this here in just a second, but there was some interviews compiled by Slicer of Blue Garter, who posted it up this week, from Dengeki 4Gamer and Game Watch, that talk about 3.35 and beyond. And one of the things that they say in there that I think is really important is that they're taking cues not only from second generation MMOs, but they're going back and re-examining first generation concepts. And I think that is very important, because you've got a community of players who are, and it's not all of us. Granted, it's not all of us, but there is a significant thread in this community that do come from first generation MMOs, your Final Fantasy 11s, your EverQuests, stuff like that do long for that kind of gameplay. And if you don't in any way explore trying to make some content for that portion of your community, then I think that is to the detriment of a significant segment of the player base. So the fact that they're trying stuff like this, I think that, and hybridizing both first and generation MMO concepts, I think that they're going to end up stumbling on something that is going to be really inventive, whether it's Deep Dungeon, whether it's what they're going to be doing with Diadem, or whether it's something in 4.0. This is, I think, the right approach to be taking to say, okay, this is the demographic that we have in our game. How do we make stuff that is both new to them, but also feels like what they recognize? And that's a very important thing. So, I think that's clear with Deep Dungeon, and I think that's clear with Aquapolis, that they're looking at that. And I think that you can even consider Diadem as a bit of an exploration of that concept as well, because we even said at the time that there are some holdover concepts in there from Abyssia, from Dynamis. Yeah, absolutely. So with those holdovers, you've got plenty to work with. Even though Diadem fell flat, the fact that they're trying things and then going back and having the willingness to readjust them if they don't work, I think that is incredibly encouraging for the future of this game.
And to the caller's point too, he's so right about saying this could easily had been DOA. It could have easily just been garbage out the chute.
It didn't make much of an impression when he showed it off at the live letter.
Yep.
It didn't leave me with an impression of like, I can't wait for the Aquapolis. I was like, that might be okay, but it mostly looks garbo. And and the fact that we're all surprised by how good it is and how fun it is, I think that speaks to the level of like they actually put some time and some thought and some effort into this system.
Yeah.
And that's
some loot.
And some loot too, yeah, and some really
I love
good
all
stuff.
the random materia that just drops. That makes so much bank.
One thing about Aquapolis is, as I play it, it's the first event in this game where I say anything like, "This feels like a modern day Final Fantasy 11 event." It kind of does. It feels like an FF11 event.
It kind of does. It feels a little bit influenced by Moblin Maze Mongers, and I mean the fact that you have to do treasure chests, that they attached it to an already existing system.
Yep.
Very smart. Very, very smart. Anyway, thanks for your call. We appreciate it. If you want to be a caller here to Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. We want to hear from you. How excited are you for 3.35? Are you still very much hype on the content that we got in 3.3? What's your favorite stuff? What's your least favorite stuff? Let us know. Again, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com